Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics. I'm Taylor Phillips, and this is Taylor's Detroit Sports, episode 77 on Spreaker and on iHeartRadio. I apologize for the delay because I had some homework to do, and I wanted to catch up to it. But tonight we're going to talk about the Red Wings. Even though they have tonight off, they won last night in thrilling comeback fashion. I'm also going to talk about Tuesday's non-goal Datsyuk debacle, which I will defend with legitimate evidence. I will also talk about the Tigers' payroll report, a Tigers' payroll report from the Detroit News, written by Tom Gage. And I will also preview tomorrow's Michigan State and Michigan matchup in East Lansing. But first off, the Red Wings played the Penguins at the Joe last night. The Penguins opened the scoring at 5:12 into the game. Pascal Dupuis from Blake Cameo, and Simon Desprez, and then Pittsburgh scored again. Ole Mata from Blake Camo and Evgeny Malkin. But Niklas Kronwall got the Red Wings on the board. At 15 minutes into the first period, 15 minutes flat, Darren Helm with the only assist, his third assist on the year. On to the second period, only one goal, and that belonged to Chris Kunitz from Simon Desprez, who also gets 2 assists. On to the third period, it stayed 3-1 until very late, when Henrik Zetterberg broke through 2 Penguin defenders through the slot and wristed one past Thomas Greiss to make it 3-2. But then Niklas Kronwall tied it at 19:21 Henrik Zetterberg's goal was assisted by Danny DeKeyser and Nicholas Kronwall, and then Kronwall scored from Pavel Datsyuk and Henrik Zetterberg. And finally, in overtime, Justin Abdelkader took advantage of a forced turnover by Henrik Zetterberg, who tipped a Penguin pass and it went right to Justin Abdelkader in the empty slot, and Abdelkader burned Thomas Greiss at 4:16 into the extra frame. I'm going to play you those last three goals on video. Ken Daniels and Mickey Redmond have the call on Fox Sports Detroit.
Since the first period have outshot the Penguins 18-10. Here's Zetterberg in. Scores! It's a one-goal game! What a pass. What a pass by... It started over here with DeKeyser. Right up, and it had some zip on it. And Zetterberg winds his way behind the defense, and a bullet wrist shot into the top corner makes it 3-2 with 2:39 to go. Intercepted, Datsyuk. Swings it ahead to Abdelkader. Zetterberg kicked it ahead. Looked in front, Datsyuk played it back. Kronwall scores! Tie game! Abdelkader, who's away. Smith wants the puck far side. He's got it. Firing, and a save made by Greiss. Oh, Zetterberg intercepted. Abdelkader scores! Game winner! What a comeback! 4-3 final. I believe Henrik Zetterberg will get another point. Pittsburgh tried to clear the puck and hit Zetterberg's body. What an absolutely incredible two-point game for the Detroit Red Wings tonight. Brendan Smith with a quality scoring chance, a great save. And here the puck bounces right out to the slot. Abdelkader in full flight. He's got full tank of gas. That's a beautiful save there. And there's Zetterberg tipped the puck behind. And as they go to tip it, it hit Zetterberg's stick. And it went right to Abdelkader. And that puck went off the end of his blade. He didn't even get it where he wanted to. Off the tip of the blade. And up to the right side, out of the blocker. And the Red Wings get out of here with a 4-3 win.
So until those three goals, the Red Wings didn't look too good overall. They were turning the puck over. Their power play was a dumpster fire yet again, like it was in Montreal. Their power play unit has got to be somewhere in the bottom of the pack in the rankings. They've got to figure out some way to fire up their power play unit. Let's see here. The Red Wings were 0 for 4 on the power play against the Penguins last night. And they were 0 for 3 Tuesday night. But with that win, the Red Wings now improved to 4-1-2, 4 wins, 1 regulation loss, and 2 overtime losses. Including 1 shootout loss. And that was their only... that was the only game that the Wings went into a shootout against the Boston Bruins. I wouldn't say the Red Wings are that bad in the shootout. I think that shootout loss was a fluke. I'd give them the rest of the season just to see where their shootout performances go. But they need to start deking, and Jimmy Howard needs to come up with big saves in the shootout. Gustafsson hasn't played in the shootout this season. There was a point in Pittsburgh's game, however, that when Justin Abdelkader got hit with a puck with a shot by Zetterberg wide of the net, that was actually a situation where Abdelkader has to keep his head up and pay attention to the puck, to the activity at all time, to the activity with the puck at all times. Because had Abdelkader paid attention, he wouldn't have got hit by the puck. However, he came back in the game he came back in the game in the second period. He got hit with a shot in the face in the first period, but came back in the second period and scored the overtime goal. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? The Wings play in Philadelphia tomorrow against the Flyers. I'm being told that Jonas Gustafsson will start in net for the Wings. That game starts tomorrow night at 7 on Fox Sports Detroit and on Sportsnet 360 in Canada. The provinces of Canada. And of course, all around the world at sportsnet.com. And then they have 3 days rest before heading to the nation's to our nation's capital and playing Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals Wednesday at 7:30 on NBCSN. And if you don't like watching the Wings on NBCSN, just keep in mind you're a careless, unknowledgeable homer, and not a true fan. Speaking of homers, I was going to catch up. I was going to catch up to everyone in the entire Red Wings fan base and touch on the Datsyuk no goal call, controversial Datsyuk no goal call Tuesday, in which he would have put his team up 2-0. I got an article written by Ian McLaren on thescore.com titled "Canadiens Price Played by the Rules on Disallowed Datsyuk Goal." Here we go. The Detroit Red Wings center Pavel Datsyuk scored one of the nicest disallowed goals we're ever going to see Tuesday in Montreal. The dynamic forward, playing his first game of the season, fired a spinning backhand shot past Canadiens goalie Carey Price, but the goal was immediately waved off after contact was made between Price and Red Wings forward Justin Abdelkader, as seen below. While it appeared that the contact was initiated by Price, the NHL rulebook shows he was well within his rights. He was in his crease. And I do mean the NHL rulebook. Rule 69.3 states, quote, "If a goalkeeper in the act of establishing his position within his goal crease initiates contact with an attacking player who is in the goal crease, and Abdelkader had a foot in the crease and made contact with Carey Price, and this results in an impairment of the goalkeeper's ability to defend his goal, and a goal is scored, the goal will be disallowed. Tough break for Datsyuk, unquote. Tough break for Datsyuk, but it certainly won't be the last time he dazzles the opposition." So both Price and Abdelkader, as I see from the thumbnail of that YouTube video in this article, Abdelkader had a skate and a half in his crease, whereas Carey Price was completely in his crease. They say everybody says Price initiates the contact. It doesn't matter who. In my opinion, it does not matter who, if the goaltender or the attacker initiates contact first. There was still contact made, and while the goaltender was defending his goal, that's still goaltender interference, or close thereto. Well, but in my opinion, it is goaltender interference. So, about 95% of the Red Wings fan base thought the goal should have counted, but the NHL rulebook tells all of them otherwise, because no matter who initiated the contact first, in that type of situation, the goal should not count. And I agree with that. I thought the call was made correctly, and it was made correctly. So, in other words, the Red Wings robbed themselves. They shot themselves in the foot in that game. They let the referees spill controversy on their jerseys. They let the referees spill controversy stains on their jerseys, saying they were asking for it. And that is so undisciplined for an NHL team of young players who work their tails off on the ice at every game, that's all I have to say for this. Oh, I do have two quotes. One from Carey Price and one from Red Wings head coach one from Red Wings head coach Mike Babcock. First off, Carey Price said, quote, Abdelkader was just going to the front of the net, and he stopped at the top of the crease and bumped into me. Ha! And I couldn't see anything. He turned me sideways a little bit, and I didn't even see Datsyuk shoot the puck. And it's the ref's discretion that I'm definitely not going to argue with him. See, Carey Price thought Abdelkader bumped into Price. I hate to say it to you, Red Wing fans, but I have to agree with Carey Price. Mike Babcock had a different perspective. What are you going to... He said, quote, what are you going to do? You're supposed to allow the goalie to play. Price initiated the contact himself, but there was still contact. Unquote. I don't get it, Mike. Or maybe it's a little too complicated. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter who initiates the contact first. Carey Price did not come out of the crease. To initiate the contact with Justin Abdelkader. You think I should look at the replays myself? I think you should. Okay. Now to some Tigers talk. Tom Gage from the Detroit News writes an article titled, For the Tigers, Big Salaries Mean Tough Decisions. Is there a way for the Tigers to sign Max Scherzer and Victor Martinez as free agents and not break the bank? There is, but it will stretch the bank. If the core of any team is considered those players making $10 million or more, the Tigers came out of this previous season with a core of 8. It can be considered 10. However, because Joe Nathan will make $10 million next season, and Rick Porcello, through arbitration, no doubt will be bumped to more than $10 million. The 10 core players earned nearly $147 million this past season. 5 of them, Miguel Cabrera, I'll get to him in a second. I'll get to him after I'm done with this. Justin Verlander, Ian Kinsler, Anibal Sanchez, and Joe Nathan already are on the 2015 books for nearly $93 million. G.I. Joe Nathan, I'd still like to call him, even though he blew 7 saves. That leaves a base of $54 million to work from the rest of the core. It also leaves this question: how did the Tigers sign the 5 for that amount? The solution begins with wiggle room, depending on whether owner Mike Ilitch allows the payroll to climb. It's not a reach to think he will. The last 2 years, the payroll increased by $15 million to the more than $163 million to more than $163 million. It was at this season. Those payroll increases followed one of $27 million from 2011 to 2012. The last 2 years, so Illich has given his blessing to immense additions the last 3 years, which probably can't continue at the same rate. But the owner likes his stars and knows the value of stars, so it's not out of the question he'll permit the payroll to climb to $170 million. If the extra $7 million is allocated to the 5 core players still to be signed for 2015, the nest egg climbs to $61 million for the 5. Still a difficult assignment, though. Complicating the situation are the mid-range salaries of Joachim Soria, a club option for $7 million in 2015, and Alex Avila, a club option for $5.4 million. But there aren't so many of these salaries on the team as to divert the focus from the core. Bottom line, how did the Tigers sign 5 premium players but limit 2015 salaries of 5 to $61 million? The answer is, of course, that they can't. Someone has to go. Plus, if the Tigers opt to renew their pursuit of Scherzer, they'll no doubt do so with the understanding if they sign him, they probably won't be in a position to keep Porcello and David Price as free agents out after 2015. Then again, there's no guarantee either pitcher in free agency would opt to stay beyond 2015, even if the Tigers let Scherzer walk. But if Scherzer would accept $23 million for 2015, backloading the rest of his new contract of more than $165 million, and if Victor Martinez would do the same at $15 million, that would leave $23 million to divide among Price, Porcello, and Torrey Hunter. Keeping Hunter, whether the Tigers want him back or not, is simply not practical within the parameters of this plan. The math involved does not allow the Tigers to re-sign Torrey Hunter. So as I just read, the chances are very slim of the Tigers re-signing Torrey Hunter. They might have to let him walk. They might have to let him walk. So now the Tigers would be down to finding a way of signing Price and Porcello for $23 million. Both pitchers are arbitration eligible, both will receive raises from what they made in 2014. $14 million for Price, $8.5 million for Porcello. So it'll be a tight squeeze, if indeed it's possible at all. Not picking up Soria's option, however, would help. But the Tigers will have to act on their options long before they know the outcome of Scherzer and Martinez as free agents, so the decisions can't be linked. But I want the Tigers to keep Soria. He's a valuable asset to this bullpen, even though he tailed off in the end. The net effect, if it all falls into place, would be the retention of Scherzer and Martinez with backloading cooperation from them for 2015. The awareness they are keeping Scherzer at the cost of not being able to re-sign Porcello or Price beyond 2015, plus the subtractions of Hunter and Soria. Would you do it? Some would. But it does light the way to maintaining the core of the team for another pennant run in 2015 if that's what the Tigers believe they need to do. I'm going to have to disagree with Tom Gage. The Tigers shouldn't give Soria away at all. I beg your pardon. If I were to either give up Soria or give up Alex Avila, I would actually, in terms of the money, I would give up a very banged up Alex Avila. You don't want to. If I were the Tigers, I would have had enough dealing with such a banged up catcher. Who can't hit against left-handed pitching and suffers too many injuries and pain and too much pain behind the plate, and he suffered a lot. He has suffered a lot of all that, a lot more of all that than other catchers have. I don't know where it comes from, but I've had enough. I've had enough of that. I've had enough of Avila. Get rid of Holiday too. Call up McCann and use him as a backup and sign a better experienced MLB catcher. But the bullpen is one of the number one priorities, most of all. So is a center fielder and a left-handed hitter. And that's what Dombrowski told the media at his previous press conference earlier this month. Oh, this just caught my eye. Kickalicious visits with the Lions. I'm going to post that on Facebook. Havard Rugland here. I'll post it on Facebook after I'm done with this podcast here. But on to the Michigan State matchup. From MLive.com, an unnamed writer, quarterback edge goes to Michigan State. Connor Cook has made some amazing throws from the pocket and on the run, and his chemistry with Tony Lippett is undeniable. Cook also has shown he can be a runner when necessary. Devin Gardner says he's healthy. Brady Hoke says Gardner's healthy too. How much will Michigan allow him to use his legs Saturday? Either way, Gardner's eight interceptions this season are still far too many, and durability in this game is a concern. Mike Griffith and Nick Baumgartner both pick Michigan State. They also both picked Michigan State in the running backs department. Jeremy Langford has a string of 12 consecutive Big Ten games with 100 yards and continues to run hard. Nick Hill showed with last week's 178-yard effort he's capable, and Delton Williams leads the backs at 7.2 yards per carry. For Michigan, if Derek Green were still in the mix here, this might be a more interesting question. But right now, it's basically Davion Smith or bust from a power standpoint. Smith's at 306 yards and 5.2 yards per carry, but beyond that, Justice Hayes cannot be considered a power option out of the backfield. Wide receivers. Mike and Nick pick Michigan State. Tony Lippett is tops in the Big Ten with 112.3 yards per game, and tight end Josiah Price has been a reliable check down option. Second on the team with 15 catches for 244 yards and 4 touchdowns. McGarrett Kings Jr. and Aaron Burbridge are both dangerous after the catch and are apt to run on the jet sweep, as is R.J. Shelton. Devin Funchess hasn't been 100% this season for Michigan, and after his hot start, 36 catches for 461 yards at this point in the year seems underwhelming. He's still an incredible talent, though. He absolutely has to play like it in this game. Amara Darboh and J.U. Chesson have had their moments, but MSU's wideouts have been more productive. Offensive line, Mike and Nick both pick Michigan State. Jack Allen is back after missing last week's Indiana game with an ankle injury, so the Spartans are as healthy as they've been up front. Senior right guard Connor Cruz has provided a lift to the interior line since returning 4 weeks ago. MSU has allowed a Big Ten low 4 sacks. For Michigan, the key to everything again for the Wolverines. Michigan's offensive line couldn't do much against Penn State 2 weeks ago. The Big Ten's top rush defense at the time. MSU obviously is pretty darn good too. Graham Glasgow, Jack Miller, and Kyle Kalis are in for the ultimate test here on the interior. If they struggle, Michigan's cooked. The defensive line, Mike picks Michigan State, Nick picks even. The strength of the team is led by the dynamic defensive end duo of senior Marcus Rush and junior Shalik Calhoun. Junior Lawrence Thomas has been a force inside at defensive tackle, and Joel Heath and Malik McDowell have also been disruptive. MSU is looking for redshirt freshman Demetrius Cooper to have an impact as the third end. I think for Michigan, they think this battle position is actually a bit closer than people probably want to admit or realize. Michigan's number 4 nationally against the run. It leads the Big Ten in tackles for loss. Frank Clark has more TFLs than any other defensive lineman in this game. Michigan will also get a boost by the expected return of Willie Henry. This may be the team's backbone. A minute left here. Linebackers, Tywan Jones is amped up for this game. Jake Ryan is statistically having an all Big Ten season. Mike gives the edge to Michigan. Nick picks even. The secondary, both pick Michigan State. Cornerbacks Trey Waynes and Darian Hicks have been solid, though not spectacular throughout the whole season. While safeties Curtis Drummond and Monte Nicholson and R.J. Williamson have had their shaky moments, but Michigan will provide a limitless test for the no-fly zone. Michigan only has 2 interceptions this season, tied for number 111 nationally. Ouch. Special teams, Michigan State, Michigan, both pick Michigan. That's going to do it for episode 77 of Taylor's Detroit Sports. Thanks for listening. I'm Taylor Phillips. TTFN, ta-ta for now.